Yes, hello everyone, Falchis, Jockety, Cúilín Media. Welcome back to another weekend review show here on Cúilín Media. We do have a full house for Ger and for Dublin is Great, wondering when we were going to start. We were about to start and Aaron has after being kicked into a different stratosphere online. So it is just myself, Séamus, Brady, Liam White and Matthew Hurley kicking off the show. Hopefully Aaron will be able to come back and join us. But lads, we are starting to whittle down in terms of the amount of games that we have in the club championship. County finals are coming to their conclusions and we're having our champions. The provincial action kicked off this weekend as well across all four codes. Matthew, I'll go to you first. Cream's rising to the top now.
It definitely is, yeah. There's a load of shocks even at this stage of the championship. I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit later, but you look at Clonairon being out of the Ulster LGFA. You look at, obviously, out of the ballot beating St. Vincent and the Camogie. That was a huge shock there. And we expected a few shocks in the Leinster Football Championship. It just didn't materialise for those that watched the Port Arlington and O'Leckland game last night. I watched a bit of it, to be honest with you. I was at a Junior A game covering a game for the Southern Star, and I watched a bit of it. And from what I was hearing on Twitter, I'm actually glad I didn't watch the full game. It seemed like a terrible game of football there. And then a tie today. I watched that in the background while watching a Cork County final, and it looked like a tie were well over Ballygunner today. And it probably shut up Aaron a bit in the pod during the week, saying a tie would be beaten by Ballygunner. Even Summerhill got a comfortable win as well. So there wasn't much really to report. Obviously, the game between Ballygunner and Na Piarsaigh was a good game entertainment-wise, and it will be a good Munster Championship this year, I'm sure. But I think most of the shocks really came in the Camogie and LGFA, even at the county finals. Roscommon won, Castletown and Mellows won against Shenmaliers. When, okay, we mentioned Shenmaliers would win during the week, but I looked at Stat Dan on Instagram, who's a Wexford guy that does statistics, and I looked at the averages, and it looks like Castletown and Mellows were actually the better team leading up to the final, so we probably should have gone for them rather than Shenmaliers, but look, there you go. We learn and we live. And then you look at the other finals, obviously the Roscommon final, that was a good final, the Galway final in Loughrea, winning their second county title in a row. So a lot of action still, and a lot of action in the intermediate and junior grades too, so a lot to get into.
Absolutely. So we are going to run through some of the comments here. Dublin's Great says this weekend really went to script. Jerry Gregan saying Abby Dorney gave O'Callaghan Mills a scare in the Munster Intermediate Hurling Championship. And A2 coming in on smoke saying Loughrea raising a drink to all of you and your masterful predictions, lads. But Ballygunner let us down though. I didn't pick Ballygunner to win. I went with a tie to win, and I didn't even really want a tie to win after the lack of class that they showed after the Nace one. So 1-1 A2. But we'll see how the predictions go over the course of the video, lads. Notoriously the most difficult championship to predict of all time. But the Thomas's Loughrea game is a good place to start. The Galway Senior Hurling Championship final of 2025. Loughrea double down. They go back-to-back in Galway and they beat St. Thomas's, who over the last 10 years have been the kings of Galway. So Liam, I'll come to you first. Is this a new era officially for Galway hurling?
Yeah, I suppose, first of all, in terms of going for St. Thomas's, that was more from my perspective to put a curse on them. So this is the one prediction I'm glad didn't come true, to be honest with you. Look, to say it's a new era, I suppose to a degree it possibly could be. Obviously, it's the second year in a row that they've won the championship. Thomas's, they had their run, was it 6 in a row they won in Galway, missed out last year. But I suppose, look, I kind of agree with Aaron to a degree that they won the All-Ireland, and then look, there was probably going to be some bit of a hangover from winning the championship in 2024. But look, it was taking nothing away from Capitagle last year, beating them in the semi-final. They deservedly beat them and, pushed Loughrea all the way last year in the county final. But yeah, this year's final, I thought they might have bounced back. They had Trevor Fletcher in there this year, who's a very well-respected coach, has had a lot of success in around Kilkenny and Offaly with the down senior hurlers this year as well. But yeah, no, I knew that it wouldn't be a simple game for St. Thomas's. Obviously, you guys said it the other night that probably thought St. Thomas's would win, but you wouldn't be shocked if Loughrea got the win, because they are a very, very good side. And yeah, look, it's a fantastic win for them. Back-to-back champions is not an easy thing to do in Galway. There's a lot of really, really good teams in Galway. You've your Clarence Bridges, your Thomases, your Capitagles, and obviously your Loughrea's now. So yeah, no, look, it's an unbelievable win for them to do it first, to do it back-to-back. Not the best of evenings for a game, I will admit that. But look, we've not had the best of weather last couple of weeks, so a lot of games probably not going the way maybe we'd love to, like they would in the summer. But at the same time, it kind of brings out a different side to games anyways at this time of the year. But yeah, it was kind of mad. Like I was looking at the scoreline, 11 points to 6 at halftime. you know, it was some unbelievable shoot from Loughrea. You had Tiernan Cúilín, who had 3 points, Anthony Byrne 5 points. You know, the two of them are serious players. The Cúilíns are fantastic players, and I really like Anthony Burns. You know, the first real glimpse I got of him this year was against Clare in the league, and I thought he was exceptional then. And you know, I thought he maybe didn't get enough chances maybe this year with Galway, but maybe after today they might look at him next year and think, right, you know, we've got a good corner forward on our hands here. But look, as you'd expect, Thomas's came back in the second half. They battled back. You had Conor Cooney, who finished with 110, with 1-1 coming from play. The decisive goal from Darren Shaughnessy in the final minute of normal time. It looked to have really won it for Loughrea. It was very, very dramatic. And then, of course, you have Cooney, who struck with the 25-meter free, I should say, into the back of the net. But yeah, Loughrea managed to hold on in the final couple of seconds, which was really, really impressive from them. And yeah, not only do they go back-to-back at Galway, but they have a chance to reach an All-Ireland final as well. They'll be into the All-Ireland Semi Final against the winners of Ulster, which is never simple. You know, we must remember the last time an Ulster side took on a Galway side in the All-Ireland series was a Dunloy bet St. Thomas, ironically. So, you know, it won't be simple for Loughrea, but having watched them last year against Na Fianna, I thought they were probably unlucky not to beat Na Fianna last year. I think they probably came the closest to knocking out Na Fianna out of all the clubs last year in the club championship. So, yeah, but no, fair play to them. Deserved champions in the end. And, start of a new era. Potentially could be, but I suppose it'll come down to maybe if Loughrea could go on and win an All-Ireland like Thomas's did, or maybe win 3 in a row next year. But for the time being, I'm sure they're just delighted to have gone back-to-back.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible achievement, and Aaron has managed to get back into the goal with us. Welcome back. Good to have you with us. Aaron, we were just discussing, I'm sure you must have caught the end of Liam saying there, we're just talking about the Galway hurling final. We have a few comments to run through here. Jer saying Éire O'Guinness will win the Munster Club Hurling Championship. That's my bold prediction. Peter says, hey lads, shout out to Liam, was driving around Midlands on Friday evening and caught ahead of the game. Great show, lad. Very interesting interviews and insights. Saying historic 2 in a row for Loughrea. Ballygunner who won 3 junior ones in a row. Anthony Burns, probably the top of Donoghue's list from last night. He was absolutely superb. A2 then coming back saying Galway is just a strange championship. I suppose Salt Hill in the football and St. Thomas's in the hurling just seem to underperform year after year. And I do think, like, this point here from Peter saying weather in Salt Hill was biblical. Like, the weather is just, it's always an unknown factor into the game. And, like, just the way that it can switch up the game plan, everything like that. And Liam, you have a question in here from Dublin is great. What time is Liam's radio show on? So I don't know if you want plug, but...
Jesus, I didn't think my radio show would be getting this much traction on a Sunday night. Jesus. It's at 7:00 every Friday evening on Midlands 103. We cover all sports, soccer, basketball, rugby, Gaelic games. I suppose next week's show will be mostly predominantly GAA because we'll have Clough-Ballacolla taking on Castatown-Gagan, as well as Kilmacud taking on Ballyhale Shamrock. So the main focus will probably be on them, and then it's just trying to work out during the week. I'm going on about the rain sound like we won't. And I remember that was the game that we lost.
Both teams.
We lost against Watford 2-1 that night. I can remember Alex Iwobi scored for us. Jesus, yeah, that was. Then we lost to Chelsea.
That was peak Arsenal banter. That was a few weeks after that. We lost 5-1 to Bayern Munich when AFTV really set in. So that was a tough time as a fan. But we won't mention that. But the show's out every Friday night at 7:00, and this week's show will be mostly predominantly focusing on the games coming up in the Leinster Championship next weekend. Yeah, no, Ty all-time legend. Like him and Chris every year at the start of the year just used to say they were going to win the quadruple and stuff like that. It would always get to December and then it would have a Christmas dip. Like that's when the Wenger out would start. Jerry says no, we haven't finals should be played nothing right. Interesting point. But anyway, go ahead, Liam.
No, when he's saying we're top of the league now and favourites, and I still sitting here going we're not winning it. So that should tell you everything I need to know about Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't. You never know. It could return to peak AFTV if Arsenal managed to bottle it from this position. Aaron, moving back to the Galway hurling final. Although we could do an hour on Arsenal Fan TV, to be honest, the content from that show. But going back to the Galway hurling final between Loughrea and St. Thomas's. So an incredible win for Loughrea. Going back to back is a serious achievement. And now, as Liam touched on, they're only 1 game away from an All-Ireland final, only 2 games away from an All-Ireland title. How much of an advantage is that to have over the Munster teams, the Ulster teams, the Leinster teams? that they have to come through hell in the provincial championship to get to that semi-final. Is it a plus or a minus in terms of their chances of winning an All-Ireland?
Depends really how they manage it, really. Like, it can be a plus, but we've also seen, like, remember St. Thomas a couple of years ago lost to Dunloy. So, do you know what I mean? And so, like, it definitely can happen. Like, you can have a huge gap there without, obviously, there'll be one of 4 teams that they can play. They'll probably narrow it down to maybe one, or, you know what I mean? Like Slot Neil or St. John's, maybe, like, not to be disrespectful to St. Satanta or the Down champions, but, you know, like, so they'll probably be able to narrow it down, but it'll be very hard to prepare for that type of a game. Obviously, going into Christmas as well, you know, and everything else, hard to sort of kind of keep up the attitude and the training wise and everything else. So depends how they manage it. You know, like, obviously they're in the semis last year, so they would have got a taste for it. They would have known sort of the preparation that was needed kind of going into the semis. This year's preparation will be a little bit different, but without question, it's a massive chance, because, like, St. Thomas, as we know, won 5 in a row in Galway, incredibly dominant. It lost out by a point. It was narrow. It was a very close game. You know, obviously St. Thomas got a late goal towards the end with Conor Cooney to maybe make it a little bit more closer than it was, but still, you know, still relatively close enough game. And St. Thomas are still a top team. They're not going to go anywhere. They're definitely going to still be back in the mix next year. So it's a massive opportunity, definitely, for Loughrea to get to an All-Ireland final and potentially win it. You know, if you get to a final, you're only one game away. No question about it. Whoever they play in the final, there's a strong chance the other team is favourites, because of the fact that whoever gets to the final is going to have to have beaten big teams, you know, from Leinster in their own province as well. You know, if it's a Munster team, they'll have beaten big teams. A Leinster team will have beaten big teams. So, you know, that team might be the favourite. So Loughrea will go into the final potentially a little bit under the radar, and that could suit them as well. But like St. Thomas a couple of years ago. So, yeah, it's absolutely massive for them.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer, because we've seen both sides of the coin over the last few years. We've seen how St. Thomas's caught Ballygunner cold in the semi-final in the year that they went on to win it, and we also saw how Thomas's themselves were caught on the hop by a brilliant Dunloy team who then pushed Ballyhale all the way. So it's worked both ways in the last few seasons for St. Thomas's. Obviously, Loughrea coming in a little bit different. They played against Na Fianna in the semi-final, and look, Na Fianna were brilliant last year. Like, they were deserving champions, and that thing that you can't really look at that and say, well, Loughrea were off the pace, because they were playing against a really, really good team. So it's really, really interesting to see how it will go this year. If they lose in the semi-final in back-to-back years, then maybe we can start having that conversation. Peter is saying here, lads, what's your take? Oh, Aaron's been booed again. Jesus, I didn't do that. But Peter says, lads, what's your take on letting Galway champs into Munster or Leinster? Maybe Leinster, like Galway seniors, 20s, etc. I think that's a very interesting point, Peter. The only thing is then is, how does the semi-finals work at that point? How can you work it? I wouldn't want to go into another round robin after the provincial chat. Like, I would not want that at all. It's an interesting one, but I don't think it happens. The only thing that I can think of is, the GA just need to invest in the counties in Connacht and try and get some clubs in Connacht that can compete with Galway clubs, because, like, a lot of people would say, like, oh, that's crazy, that's stupid and whatever. But when you look at, you know, Ulster heritage in hurling, you look at, like, the Down, Derry, Antrim are probably the 3 strongest counties in terms of hurling heritage up in Ulster. Yet Donegal have been making huge strides in terms of the levels that they're getting to. And over the next few years, Satanta will definitely, you know, stand their ground in the Ulster Championship this season, but they're only getting better as well. And I think that has to be the way that we're moving forward, to try and get Roscommon clubs stronger, to try and get Leitrim clubs stronger, Mayo clubs stronger, so that eventually maybe we can go back to a 4-province inter-county system as well. As much as I like having Galway and Antrim and Leinster, it shakes up the championship. But that should be the goal that we're trying to get back to, not just focus on what's at the top, but also improve everything underneath as well. Peter says, yeah, Galway final and champ could be staggered out a bit more. Dublin's Great says, I think it is a bad thing because the Galway champs come in untested. I wouldn't say untested. They have a huge test in the Galway final, but after that, yes, they are twiddling thumbs for a little while. I think Galway should move the final back a couple of weeks. I mean, that's probably, up until now, probably the fairest answer out the lot. But no question about it, Loughrea completing an incredible achievement this weekend, going back-to-back in Galway, and they will prove a difficult challenge for whoever has to come up against them in the remainder of the championship. They're only 2 games away from completing an All-Ireland title, and who would bet against them? So we're going to move on then, lads. After the Galway hurling final, we're going to move from hurling to football, and we're going to talk about the Roscommon Senior Football Championship final. Liam, do you want to hide for a few minutes while we talk about this one?
I'll just piss off for 5 minutes.
I've been Liam. Catch him on the Friday show. But Matthew, I'll go to you for this one first. St. Brigid's overcome Pádraig Pearse's after a replay. Talk me through this one, man.
Yeah, it was a huge win for Brigids, and ironically enough, it was one of their kind of imports that did the damage in Conor Carlin goal. According to many match reports, he was the guy that saved them against a very, very good Pearse's side. Again, it was a very, very tight game, and I think when you look at the whole context of Connacht's, whoever would have won this Roscommon final, you would say they represent Roscommon very well, and they are a very, very good side. So like whoever was going to win, it was going to be well earned, and it was an excellent game of football between Pearse's and Brigids. Also, I can imagine Ben O'Carroll had a good day out as well for Brigids in the game as well. I'm trying to bring up the game in Scorpio, but apparently there's limited coverage on the Roscommon final. What's the issue there, lads? But anyway, you look at Ben O'Carroll, excellent performance from him. You look at Conor Carroll in goal, and you have some excellent players on the Brigid side. The likes of Brian Stack, who saved them the last day, and he was colossal again in this game. Obviously, the likes of Pierce Frost as well, who goes in under the radar a small bit in the back line. So look, Brigids utterly deserved the victory. They will be a brilliant opponent, obviously, for the likes of Ballinlass Stephenites or North London Shamrocks, whoever makes it to the semi-final. They will be going in as favourites for that. And even in the Connacht Championship, I'd imagine they'll go in as favourites. Look, Mike Cullen will be difficult, but they haven't had successful Connacht campaigns or successful All-Ireland campaigns as Brigids have. Like Mike Cullen haven't got to an All-Ireland final, Brigids have. So they have more of an experience. They've been more around the track than Mike Cullen have, to be fair. So I would say Brigids will go in as favourites in the Connacht Championship. But then again, it is a very, very tight championship to win. Who's to say Ballinlass Stephenites can't cause a shock? The Mayo fans might come at us and say that, okay, Ballinlass Stephenites might be underrated a small bit, and Brigids might be overrated and will cause a surprise here or there. But I still think Brigids are favourites. Might be eating my words, but I think Brigids are a very, very good side, and they will be certainly one of the favourites for Connacht, considering their past experiences of getting to All-Ireland finals and playing in Croke Park and things like that as well, and the players that they do possess. It is very, very good. Of course, Anthony Cunningham is the manager, who won a Connacht title with Roscommon. He is an excellent coach. So look, Brigids will be hard bet. They're a very, very good side, and they'll take on Connacht, whoever they come up against in the next few weeks.
They definitely are going to take some stopping, Liam, because when we look back to when they won Roscommon last and when they won the Connacht Championship last and got to that All-Ireland final against Waddy Graham's Glen, they were in a good position in that game up until Conor Glass's won their goal. And once that goal went in, Glen took control of the game and managed to get over the line for an All-Ireland title. But that was a very young Brigids team. Brian Stack, Ben O'Carroll, they're now a couple of years older, a couple of years more experienced. Brigids should not be written off for the All-Ireland at all.
Oh God, no. Like it's a big reason why I kind of predicted Pádraig Pearse's to even say win the Connacht title, because the Roscommon clubs always do well in the Connacht Championship, and they always give it a real good crack in the All-Ireland series as well when they do come out of it. And look, I'm not going to complain, because look, St. Brigids were fantastic. I'm not even disappointed with my prediction, to be fair, because like look, Pádraig Pearse, they at least got to the final and they pushed Brigids all the way. Look, the second half, Brigids were kind of well on top, and I kind of never really got the sense watching the second half that Pearse's would get the win, to be honest with you. I felt Brigids just kind of always had the little edge on them, to be quite honest with you, much like they did the first half, the first day. But yeah, look, but it has to be said, Conor Carroll, I saw the saves that he made. They were absolutely sensational. Like as a former goalkeeper myself, I'm a bit ashamed of the days that I used to be in goals looking at him, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, look, it's a fantastic win for them. I think they're the team to beat in the Connacht Championship, to be honest with you. Maybe if Coolera Strandhill had come out of Sligo. But look, the Gaels obviously beat them and beat them comfortably in the replay in Sligo, so you never know. And look, look, it's just the thing with the Mayo champions. They've just never really produced in the Connacht Championship, so I can't really sit here at the moment and confidently say that they will be the ones to take them down or anything like that. And look, you have Mike Cullen. I think it's going to be between either Mike Cullen or St. Brigids now, to be honest with you. I think they're, like you said there, they have experience. They have some really, really good players in amongst their team now, like Nugent, O'Carroll, Brian Derwin as well, who got the goal for them as well. There's some really, really good players all across their team. And they have a bit of time now as well. I think it's a couple of weeks away from when they do play their next match, so they have a bit of time to breathe, kind of enjoy this game, which I'd say they were probably delighted that they have won it on a Saturday, so they can enjoy today as well and probably take off tomorrow as well. But it gives them time to regroup as well. They'll have a chance to look at the game between North London Shamrocks and Ballina. I feel Ballina probably should win that, but look, it's the club championship. Anything can happen. And it's ironic it's North London Shamrocks, and we started off this episode talking about Ty from Arsenal Fan TV. Maybe he's their coach. You never know. Look, I think they're going to take some serious beating in the Connacht Championship, to be honest with you. And to be honest, I think even seeing the way that they took down Pádraig Pearses, I don't see anyone beating them. I don't even see Mike Cullen beating them, to be honest with you.
And one thing as well, though, I have to mention this. Like I mentioned Pierce Frost was playing in the defence for Brigids. He actually wasn't. He was injured for this game, and that's a main defender that was missing. So you still have players there that can step up. And one player I have to mention, Senan Kilbride, he got a point. He was playing Masters football a few weeks ago in Roscommon. Obviously hearing from Tommy Rooney in recent days. He's 40 years of age, and he scored a point. Like you can remember him doing so well for Roscommon seniors in the past, about 10 years ago or whatever. But for him to step up and put on a jersey and play for Pearses in the senior team at that age, we talk about old fellas doing it for their clubs. To do it at the highest level possible, to do it with a good side like Brigids as well, deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, that has to be said. I mean, you talk about Johnny Doyle and people like that. Senan Kilbride definitely belongs in that conversation after his performance this weekend for St. Brigids. Ger coming in with an interesting concept, lads. Have you ever thought about playing back predictions from earlier in the week before going on to the review show? I've thought about it, to be honest, but it would take a hell of a lot of work to stitch all that together to put in at the start just to humiliate ourselves. And then, on top of that, I mean, isn't that what A2 is for? To come in and remind us what predictions we got wrong? A2 here saying Athy and Summerhill for the honour of who loses to Ballyboden in the next round should be a good game. And Dublin is great, saying the Port Darlington Old Leckland game made me want to bang my head on the wall repeatedly. My goodness. Are we going to talk about this one as well, lads? Because we have to talk about this because this is a huge story that came out during the week about A2 talking about here. Heard Colby MacDonald off to the AFL as well. More bad news for Mayo. Colby MacDonald moving to the AFL is a huge story because, again, that's another top-class Mayo player going to Australia. From Pierce Hanley to Oisin Mullen, and now we have another one going. Matthew, I'll come to you for this one first. Colby going is a massive blow to Mayo. Maybe he'll return, but for a guy that talented to be missing out on his services, it's a big blow.
A huge blow. And as you mentioned there, the likes of Pierce Hanley, the likes of Oisin Mullen, and just the luckless Mayo new managers. I've seen a tweet there that Kevin McStay, in one of his first weeks of the job, lost Oisin Mullen to AFL, and history's repeated itself. Andy Moran has lost Colby MacDonald. And look, personally, I wouldn't have had Colby playing with the senior level because, look, he's 17 years of age. You need to develop him at under 20. But maybe what you were saying a few weeks ago, Séamus, maybe that was correct. Maybe you would have put him in the senior team just to lock him down. But as we know with AFL, like Oisin Mullen was locked down with the Mayo seniors, and then he went. So it's almost kind of, we're in a scenario now where, and I've seen these comments on Twitter, and I wouldn't be a fan of this, but you almost have to pay inter-county players now for them to stick around. Playing for the badge and playing for the county and playing for the crack and all that, sometimes that's not enough. Like AFL, it's a huge opportunity. And as well as that, I know we're going into politics and things like that, but there is kind of a housing crisis in Ireland at the moment. Why wouldn't you go abroad? So, I wouldn't blame Colby, even at 17 years of age. I wouldn't blame him nearly 80. I wouldn't blame him going down to Australia because, number one, it's a huge opportunity. Number two, as well, you earn a living out of AFL as well. Like, you get paid. You're a professional athlete. Yes, it's challenging for him, but you do get paid over it. We do lose an absolute gem of a player, and he is a gem of a player. He's played so well for Crossmaglen in the club championship. We've enjoyed him over the last few weeks. At minor level, he was absolutely sensational for Mayo as they reached the All-Ireland Semi Final in 2024. He was absolutely sensational that year. But like, at the same time, you just can't blame him for going down to AFL. It's almost like the GA need to probably do more to keep these players on our shores. Like, you look at even other counties, Mark O'Connor we've seen with Dingle over the last few weeks with Kerry, Mark Keane with Cork, other players, Conor McKenna, of course, with Tyrone. Okay, he came back for a small bit and then he went down again. But you see all these players, they go to AFL, and we have this same conversation over and over again. I think with AFLW, it's more affected, to be honest with you, but it seems to be more of an epidemic in senior men's football now as well, with the amount of brilliant players leaving our shores. So look, it's difficult for kind of the fans of Gaelic games, but at the same time, I wouldn't blame Kobe at all. It's a brilliant opportunity for him. Best of luck to him. He will smash it down there. I'd imagine he's an absolutely brilliantly technically gifted player, and yeah, all the best to him.
Yeah, no, you put it well there. Peter agreeing, saying spot on, Matthew. Economics and life definitely factors to really consider. The Aussie lifestyle can't buy that. Jer saying, well, there is a housing crisis in Australia too. I mean, there is. It's probably due to the amount of Irish people that are going over there and taking, like, there's a lot of Irish people moving over there, which is another thing that maybe should be considered, that, you know, maybe he does want to experience that lifestyle and everything like that. Look, there's no question about it. In my opinion, just because Kobe is going to the AFL, he will play for Mayo one day, in my opinion. But it's the question of how long will he be gone for? What years will they lose out of his prime? And will that have an impact on their ability to win the All-Ireland? Because losing Oisin Mullen, without question, has had an impact on how good Mayo are. Because Oisin Mullen was one of their best players, and losing him was critical to the Kevin McStay era in charge of Mayo. Because how many players, top-class forwards, like a David Clifford or a Con O'Callaghan, would Oisin Mullen have been marking that then he wasn't there to mark, and Mayo ended up losing key games like that? So there's something to be considered there. There is no question about it. He is an absolutely fantastic footballer, and I think he would have lit up the under-20 championship of this year, and I wouldn't have ruled out him getting some minutes for the senior team under Andy Moore, because you look at Kieran Kilkenny made his debut for Dublin at 18, so did Jack McCaffrey. David Clifford was starting for Kerry at 18, 19. Like, I truly believe Kobe is of that cloth. He's that talented that I wouldn't have been surprised if in, you know, unique circumstances that maybe Andy Moran would have rolled the dice and gone with a youngster like Kobe. So there's no question about it. He's a supremely talented footballer, and he will smash it, in my opinion, in the AFL, especially giving him time. But it's a massive blow to Mayo. And hopefully we get to see him return and play for Mayo someday. I don't know what on earth is going on. Asking where is that? Whatever is that? Maybe it's just, I don't know, bad Wi-Fi.
Shores explanation probably solves it. That's it.
Let's see. Is Aaron being snapped by the AFL every time? I think Aaron's hamster is dead. My. Peter says, Woolley does Irish down under profile. The contracts issue is key. Some players just end up on reserves. Kobe will definitely be a starter for a Perth or a Melbourne team. The one thing is that has to be considered is the physicality of the game down there as well is massive. Like that 4 or 17 going on 18-year-old going over there, it's going to be a massive test for him to adjust to the physicality of the AFL. But I think he has the capabilities to do it, in my opinion. And I just hope that it's not a Pierce Hanley situation where we don't really see him play for Mayo. Like, Pierce definitely obviously did play here and there, but the best prime years of his career, he didn't play for Mayo. I think he would have made a big impact if he had have. Aaron, you're back with us. A lot of people there's a conspiracy theory brewing here to what's going on. People saying that the AFL are coming after you.
Yeah, I've no idea what's happening, to be honest. Like, the computer keeps saying it needs to do updates, and then it does the updates, and then I get back in, and then it still says there's more updates. I have no idea what's going on. to be honest. But look, unfortunately, we'll probably have to go rogue and do it off the phone for this episode. So hopefully everyone can hear me. But no, yeah, I'd agree with what you lads were saying as well. To be fair, it is a huge loss for Mayo. There's no doubt about it. Like, they keep losing big players to the AFL. And especially such a young star as well, like, not to get, at least with Ushie and Mullen, they got a couple of years out of him. So to not even get anything out of Colby McDonald is going to be a big blow. And yeah, it's, it is unfortunate. Look, I know, like, obviously there is a bit of a Dublin Mayo rivalry and everything else, but you want all the best players to play in the GAA, regardless of whether they're from Kerry, whether they're, Mayo. And I don't know, maybe, thankfully enough, us Dublin fans haven't lost too many players to AFL down the years, maybe the odd few, but generally not the best one. So yeah, it is a big blow to the GAA and definitely to Mayo.
No, it certainly is. And hopefully we do see Kobe back in the GAA, before his prime years have ran out at least. And I wish him absolutely nothing but the best down in Australia. Hope you absolutely smash it, Kobe. Best of luck from all four of us here on Cúilín Media. We're going to move on then to the next installment of games that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk next about the Munster Senior Hurling Championship. Liam, I'm going to come to you for this one first. It concerns Ballygunner and Na Piarsaigh. So in the Munster Championship today, Ballygunner battled past Na Piarsaigh in the Munster Senior Hurling quarter-final. A real arm wrestle of a game, but Ballygunner, through outstanding individual displays from the likes of Patrick Fitzgerald, who especially caught my eye, they battled past Na Piarsaigh. Interestingly, it's the fourth year in a row now that Ballygunner have beaten Na Piarsaigh. They're really cashing in on this period of time now for Munster success. When you're looking at what they achieved in the 2000s compared to what they've now achieved in the late 2010s and on into the 2020s, they're starting to really turn that now into silverware. The question is, can they kick on from here now and go for an All-Ireland?
Oh, that's their ultimate aim, let's be honest. Like, I feel like Ballygunner have gotten to the point where, of course, look, you want to win your county championship, as every club in the country does. But I feel like Ballygunners has gotten to the point now where we don't judge them on winning the Waterford Championship. You judge them on winning, and even the Munster Championship, you judge them on winning the All-Ireland, to be honest with you. Because like, even with their 3 in a row in the Munster Championship before Sarsfields bet them last year, it almost felt like people still felt like they were underachieving, which is crazy to think that, they've had 13... was it or 12 in a row in Waterford, 3 Munster titles in a row and an All-Ireland, and yet we're still sitting here thinking they've underachieved, so maybe they're just victim of their own success to a degree, I don't know, but look, it's a strange one, first of all, that it's the 4th year in a row that they've gone to Limerick, to be honest with you. I find that one a small bit strange, because I thought it had to change. I'm only speaking from our own club perspective. Like, we had to play O'Loughlin Gales 2 years ago in Tullamore, but now we're going down to Kilkenny. So for me, that makes sense. So I don't understand. Maybe one of these can explain later. I don't know what the reason is that they're going down and why Limerick teams aren't going to Waterford. But regardless, look, it's a fantastic win for them. They were kind of in control in the first half, leading 8-5 at half time. Look, second half, look, it has to be said, I feel like Na Piarsaigh kind of shot themselves in the foot in a way, to be honest with you, because I felt it was a very even enough game, but they just missed a few too many frees, to be honest with you. Let too many chances go begging. Ballygunner's pressing, I have to say, I was very, very impressed with. They were hunting in packs and they were very calm on the ball as well, working the ball out from the back. And look, when they had to take their chances, they did. You had Desi Hutchinson finishing with 5 points, Patrick Fitzgerald with 4. Harry Ruddle, who was playing at wing back, really, really impressed me, finishing with 3 points. I think he got the man of the match on TG Cahir. So yeah, look, it's a great win for them. To go down to the Limerick champions like Na Piarsaigh, obviously the bet Doon last year, and beating Na Piarsaigh 2 years ago as well, and going down there and beating them again is a really, really impressive achievement. But you got to give credit to Na Piarsaigh as well. They put up a huge battle against them, especially with, having to go to extra time against Doon in the Limerick final there. What was it, 2 weeks ago? They really, really battled hard here. And look, they could have maybe snatched something in the end, but look, ultimately Ballygunner showed their experience. They showed their class. And they look forward now to a semi-final. When is that? In 2 weeks' time, is it? Or 3 weeks? When is it? 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks' time against Sarsfields, which I'm sure they'll be replaying what happened 12 months ago in their minds, and trying to look for a bit of revenge there. But look, I think that's going to be a cracking game. It's one to really, really look forward to now. But yeah, look, I think they probably deserved it just about enough in the end. But yeah, Na Piarsaigh really nearly gave them a scare.
They absolutely did, and like the game was in the melting pot there, like going down the home stretch, and the question was asked of them and they had the answer. And there's no doubt when you think about the quality that is in that Ballygunner side, the winners that are in that Ballygunner side, they will be thinking about the 2-3 that Shane O'Regan scored in that game last year and how that put them to the sword. So they are going to have that playing on their head, exactly as Liam said. And it's going to be some game. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Aaron, like we have the comments pouring in here about it. Peter saying back in SARS to beat Ballygunner. Ballygunner versus SARS will be a cracker in Walsh Park. There's no question about it. We're in for a special game between these two again.
100%, yeah, no, it definitely will be a cracker. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we remember the game very closely last year, and the game it kind of dealt up, and everything else that went with it. I think today's game was interesting. Like, it definitely wasn't the best game of hurling I've seen. It was a very kind of old-fashioned game of hurling. Like, it was a massive scrap. Like in around the middle, there was a lot of long balls floating in. There was heavy challenges at times. It was a very stop-start. It definitely wasn't Ballygunner's best performance, but I think as Desi Hutchinson even said, like in his post-match interview on TG Cahir, like, you know, like sometimes you're not always going to play your best, you know, and ultimately you just have to kind of dig deep and find a way to win. And that's what they did in the end. Like the final 10 minutes, it was interesting. Like, for the opening probably 50 minutes, they were probably below par. But for the last 10 minutes, that was when they kind of needed to up it, because like they always kind of had Na Piarsaigh at arm's length. And then all of a sudden, Na Piarsaigh were a point up with 10 minutes to go. And then they kind of just upped the levels. They kind of upped the percentage levels after that. So, really excited for the game between them and SARS, especially after what happened last year. Ballygunner have obviously been caught a couple of times in Munster in previous years. So, it should be a really interesting game.
Yeah, definitely will be. Pádraig Lennon saying here, our lads yesterday were going for goals all day from the ball thrown in, and that cost us. That's why Brigids won. If they went for the points, it would have been a lot closer. Obviously, that's speaking from a Pádraig Pearce's point of view. A2 saying Ballygunner looked beatable, though the worry is that game will bring them forward a good bit, given the lack of competitive games the last few weeks. And Peter saying they are there for the taking. SARS will make hay. I think that game will do them the world of good, because when you consider how Mount Sion gave them no test at all in the Waterford final and Ballygunner racked up 235 at their ease, they needed this game. They needed a game where somebody really put it up to them, and now they're going to get another one against SARS, and that game is going to be something else. It's going to be an absolute cracker. It'll be fascinating to see if SARS can repeat the trick from last season, and that will establish a real change in the guard in Munster, because Ballygunner had a few golden years there. Or can Ballygunner get back on top once again? Fascinating to see. We're going to move on just after this comment from Pádraig saying, could we see Loughrea and Moycullen both win the All-Ireland? Very interesting. Loughrea, I mean, only 2 games away. Moycullen, I think, will have their work cut out getting out of Connacht, to be honest. I really believe that Brigids are going to win Connacht now. Dublin is great saying no. Just answered the question in 2 letters. Either way, we are going to move back to football now, and we're going to go to the Leinster Senior Football Championship preliminary quarterfinals, and we had 3 of these. Aaron, I'm going to come to you first for these. So we had a tie of Kildare beating Baltinglass of Wicklow quite easily, it has to be said. The second half performance, the third goal from James McGrath just absolutely, put a cap on it. There was absolutely no way back for Baltinglass after this. Summerhill of Meath also beat Kilo Young Emmets of Longford quite easily, 222 to 116 in that game. While on Saturday's game, Port Arlington kind of held Old Leckland at arm's length by the looks of things from match reports and everything like that. I didn't see the game myself, but 112 to 6 points. And just reading the comments there from the lads in the live chat there, it doesn't seem like there was much competitiveness put towards Port Arlington in that game. Interesting enough that all 3 of them were relatively one-sided, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think we were definitely expecting some closer games. Obviously, I predicted Baltinglass to be a tie, so that was definitely a prediction that went pretty wayward. And to be fair, I have to say it as it is. A tie were absolutely brilliant. They were very, very good. They beat them to the sword. There was a couple of moments, like a couple of half chance for Baltinglass. Obviously, they had that goal chance towards the end of the first half to blaze over the bar. If they get that, it could be a different game. But a tie were brilliant. Kevin Feely was outstanding. James McGrath, as you said, Noel Kelly was very, very good. And it was a dominant performance from a tie. And look, I know everything that happened and everything kind of post-match, the Naas game. But when you look at matters on the pitch and when you look at the team, they are a very good team. They really, really are. You know, they beat Naas for a reason. So I know there was a comment there earlier saying that, you know, a tie will roll over against Ballyboden. I disagree, to be honest with you. Having looked at that performance and looked at what they did versus Naas, look, I don't think they'll beat Ballyboden. But I think that game could be closer than what we expect. Provided obviously a tie still have to win their semi-finals, I think, first, if that does happen. So, but yeah, in terms of the other games, Port Arlington, Old Lakeland, watched this on Saturday night. Yeah, it wasn't a great game. To be honest with you, there's probably better ways to spend your Saturday. With all due respect to both of those clubs, yeah, just I don't know. I remember a couple of years ago they had a Saturday night game, and again I think it was a Leinster club game, and it wasn't particularly brilliant. So it's probably just the timing and everything else, the weather, the conditions, just wasn't a particularly great game. Port Arlington were just comfortable, really. You know, they didn't have a huge lead, but they never looked like they were ever really going to get beat, to be honest. And yeah, Summerhill, Killow, I haven't seen too much of that reports or anything like that, but from keeping an eye on Score BO, it did look relatively comfortable. So yeah, three very handy results, and no real shocks, which probably isn't in line with what we've seen maybe in club championship so far this year.
Yeah, I think when you look at the games, like, because coming into this game, what I was saying in the prediction, and one of the reasons why I went for a tie is because I was saying, look, if Naas had beaten a tie, we all would have picked Naas to beat Baltinglass, and I was going to give a tie the respect that they were due for beating, you know, the Kings of Kildare and everything like that, and taking the crown off them. And they looked really, really good. And the thing is, when you look at Summerhill, some of the players that they have, the likes of Owen Frayne, when you look at, you know, a tie, some of the players they have, the likes of Kevin Feely, James McGrath is one that really stood out to me as well. At county level this year, we saw a changing of the guard where Dublin were finally dethroned. And the Dublin clubs have had dominance over the Leinster Championship over the last few years. Liam, could we see, and don't be biased, could we see a changing of the guard in Leinster this year?
We possibly could. I suppose, look, it's kind of the same with like Naas being knocked out in Kildare and a tie going through. I feel like a lot of people are looking at Ballyboden because it's not maybe Kilmacud Crokes and thinking, oh, this is a free shot now or whatever. But like at the end of the day, you got to give still respect to Ballyboden for winning the Dublin Championship, which is not an easy thing to do. And it would have been the same if Nafina had won it. You know, you're taken down. And I say a lot of people would have seen Cúilín that way last year, thinking, okay, they've won the Dublin Championship. They're happy now. You know, they're easily beatable this year or whatever. And then, you know, they wouldn't have won the Leinster Championship. They wouldn't have won the All-Ireland, you know. And like I know the scoreline in the end was a lot closer in the final between them and Eric O'Kieran. But you saw the football they played in that first half and they were absolutely sensational. So, look, for me, I still think whoever comes out of any county, you have to respect them, especially with the club championship, because the club championship is the most unpredictable. It's like the championship in England. You know, it's so unpredictable every single year. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. The team that you think is going to do well falls short, and the team that you have no expectations for comes up and wins all the goods. So I think, look, you have some good teams there. Look, I was keeping up to date with the Summerhill game. They were struggling in the first half. Kiloo were really putting up against them. I think they were 10 to 7 points up at one stage. I think around 25 minutes into the game. But once Summerhill came out in the second half, they really, really pushed it on. And when you have players in your team like Owen Frayne, who I rate very, very highly, especially after seeing him a lot more closely this year with Meath, you know, Summerhill would be right up there. You have a tie who, like you mentioned there, they knocked out Naas, so they definitely deserve the respect from that perspective that, you know, they can be a challenger for the Leinster Championship. And then you have the Downs, who have Luke Loughlin, who at the moment is playing probably the best football of his career, you know, and if he could drive them forward, then you just never know. They got to the final in 2022 in Leinster, so they're going to be a big team. Port Arlington, even speaking to Ronan Coffey last week, or during the week for this game, he said himself that they didn't just let themselves down last year, they let the county of Laois down last year in the way they went out, so they were definitely looking to put that right. And look, truth is, I saw the first half yesterday before I watched some of the Galway final. It wasn't a great match, I'll admit that. But look, Port Arlington won't care one bit. They got the win and they won convincingly, which I know Pat Rowe will take a lot from that. They have a good, solid defence. I mean, they've conceded 13 points in their last 2 games overall, which is really, really impressive, especially at this time of the year. You need a crucial defence. But But yeah, no, look, I think it's going to be very interesting next couple of weeks. It's definitely open. I will say that. It's definitely open. But I think until a team actually takes out Ballyboden, St. Enda's, and actually maybe even puts out maybe even a bit of a statement, like I don't think the Wexford champions will beat Ballyboden. I think they'll get past that. But if one of the Downs or say Tullamore could take them down in Mullingar or Tullamore and beat them maybe convincingly, you could maybe start talking, maybe not even power shift, but you could maybe start looking at it thinking, okay, is there a bit of a changing of the guard? But I feel like you'd want to maybe see that next year, the same way we're talking about Loughrea taking over in Galway, because they've done it back-to-back years maybe.
Well, that's it. Part of it for me is that you're looking at Ballyboden's fixtures, and I'm just saying that in my opinion, they will get past Castletown, and then I think that they will shade whoever comes out in that semi-final, be it Tullamore, be it the Downs. I think they'll still shade it. I think if they were to face a tie, potentially in a tie, or Summerhill in Summerhill, I think that could have been a game where maybe Bowden would be turned over. But I think regardless, then you go into a final in Croke Park. I think you have to make Bowden's favourites for that. Now, I do think a tie have the players to trouble them, and so do Summerhill. Summerhill have the forward line to trouble them, obviously spearheaded by Owen Friend, but I would still back Bowden to win Leinster at this stage. But the one thing that we're seeing in the club championship is just when you think that this team is going pretty good, they lose their next game until we come on to the ever-presence like the Kilkerran, Clonburns and stuff like that, which we'll touch on in a bit as well. But sticking with Saturday, Matthew, I'm going to come to you next for this one. The Ulster Senior Football Championship preliminary quarter-final. On the last episode, we were talking about Sean O'Leary, Newbridge and Derry and how they're going under the radar now. Back-to-back Derry champions could be an outside bet to win Ulster. They've done themselves no harm in terms of that, expectation that we have for them. An impressive 6-point win over Dunloy of Antrim, who have caused problems. Like the Antrim champions, I know not Dunloy specifically, but the Antrim champions have been a bump on the road for people in the past. Sean O'Leary's Newbridge passed this test with flying colours.
You would say with flying colours, look at the full-time scoreline, but apparently after 40 minutes, Dunloy were 10 points to 8 up. And then Callum McGrogan, the wing-back, gets a goal for Sean O'Leary's Newbridge to make it 1-8 to 10 points. Sean Elliott then levelled us to make it 1-8 to 11 points. That was Dunloy's last score of the game at 48 minutes. And then Sean O'Leary's Newbridge got 4 scores and they ended up winning comfortably. Mark Doherty getting a point, Conlon McGrogan and Oisin Doherty getting a 2-pointer each. And then Oisin Doherty finishing it off with a free at the very end of the game. So looking at that, Dunloy really put it up to Sean O'Leary's Newbridge. They were ahead at half-time in this game. So you have to give Dunloy a lot of credit. And Antrim football must have been proud of Dunloy's effort, considering they were first-time champions in 89 years. But look, it was a tricky game for Newbridge, but they got over the line, and you can't say anything against. But look, it's progress. Oisin Doherty got 6 points this game. Sean Young got 2 points. Mark Doherty got on the score sheet. McGrogan from midfield got a 2-pointer. Conor Doherty got 2 points as well. Obviously, McGrogan from wing-back got the goal as well. Callum McGrogan, that is. And another McGrogan from cornerback got it, Mark McGrogan. So I think they're all related as well. So as we mentioned during the week, there's kind of family feel in this team. So that is a good thing for Newbridge going forward. They face Madden next in the Ulster Championship quarter-final from Armagh, and that will be a tough game. It's on TG Carr. You'd make Newbridge probably favourites, considering Newbridge have a score settle number 1 with Armagh teams having been knocked out by Clonairon last year, and number 2, they're more experienced in the Ulster Championship campaign rather than Madden. Madden's probably kind of a fairy tale story with the Grimleys and things like that. But Newbridge, I do feel like they are a very, very good operative side. They are a very good side, in fairness. They know how to navigate Ulster Championships. Yes, they lost last year, but that defeat to Clonairon kind of will stand to them. They are a very, very good side. And Keelan Malloy for Dunloy, to be fair, this game deserves a lot of credit. He got 6 points. Sean Elliott, as I mentioned there, got 1 point. Both Antrim hurlers, as well as that, Ryan McGarry's an Antrim hurler. He got 1 point from centre back. Maybe the Antrim boys will consider changing, codes in the next few years, I suppose. You look at Ryan McGarry there, Keelan Malloy, Sean Elliott, like they're very, very good players. And yeah, it
happened again. Aaron's got booted off the pod. I don't know how that happens.
His phone is overheating.
Yeah, no, Aaron's phone is after going on him.
Sorry, Max.
No, sorry, Matthew. Fair play to you. I was practicing every trick I knew in the book. Once Aaron got booted out of the pod, I was practicing every trick in the book. I was like, all right, bite my cheek.
I'd laugh at that now, but to be fair, I kept my cool for as long as I could. And
you did really well. You did really well. But I think you're absolutely right. Like when you look at Dunloy, and the thing that I was saying when I was saying about how Newbridge have kind of kept to their level. Aaron, you're back with us. You literally caused a meltdown, and the three of us burst out laughing.
Oh man, I haven't a clue what's going on, lads. The phone is overheating now and is going to blow up. So I don't know what's going on. I could be gone in a couple of minutes again. So we'll see.
But you know what? It's unbelievable, and I cannot believe this. Every time I've thrown the question to you, you've lasted. Like, and then the minute that you're done your point, that's when you get booted out. Like, it's like the people that are kicking you are being polite. I don't want to interrupt the episode.
I'm like Chris Camaro over here or something. I don't know. I don't know, Jeff.
I actually seen someone did a Halloween costume with that. It was one of the best Halloween costumes I've ever seen. But yeah, Matthew, just to bring it back to Sean O'Leary Newbridge, what I was saying when I was saying about how that they've done their status as, you know, an outside shot for Ulster. They've done that no harm in this game is people that are not just kind of casually observing the club championship. They don't understand. I feel like they don't understand how tough Dunloy would be to beat and how, you know, grinding that game would be. And the fact that going down the home stretch, Sean O'Leary Newbridge just took over that going down the home stretch and finished really strong. And that's the time that matters. That's the time when your mettle is being tested. And there's no question about it. The way that they won, they didn't blow Dunloy out of the water by 10 points, 15 points. They won low-key enough, but still impressive when you look into it. And in my opinion, it's not like they've gone out there and beat them by 20 points and announced themselves as the team to watch. They will go under the radar, but I feel like Kilmacud, your Scottstowns, they're going to have to be wide awake to the threat that Sean O'Leary Newbridge will bring. And I think that they absolutely are to be taken serious. Peter coming in saying Aaron like Leonard Nimoy in The Simpsons when he just vanished. Very cool from Peter. Very good. You're going to set us all off laughing again. We're going to move on the pod. Aaron, I will come to you next for this one. Just going to give a big shout to the Leitrim champions Cúilín, who beat Carrick by 210 to 110 in the Leitrim Senior Hurling Final that was on Saturday, and to Clonmel Commercials, who beat Upper Church John Bain by a goal of 9 to 8 points. But Aaron, where I'd say your Munster predictions, your heart was in your mouth when you saw Newcastle West taken to extra time by Father Casey's in the Limerick semi-final, but they're through. They win 216 to 14 points. They will face Mungret St. Paul's, who beat Adair 17 points to 113 in the final. How are you feeling now heading into that game?
Yeah, like Newcastle West, to be fair, they've been quite ropey at times through Limerick. Like I think they had a couple of draws earlier in the year, and now they've gone and needed extra time. Kind of a weird one. Like they won quite comfortably in the end. So when you look at the final score, you probably think it was quite comfortable, but it definitely wasn't that at all. It definitely went down to the wire. In fairness, like even looking at it here, like Emmett Richter, he scored 1-5. Ian Corbett 1-2 as well. So both of those goals obviously coming in extra time. So yeah, huge from a Newcastle West perspective to get over the line. But look, there's no question about it. Who is it they're playing in the final again?
Mungret St. Paul's.
Mungret St. Paul's. Look, they'll definitely take confidence as well from the fact that Newcastle West haven't been flawless. You know what I mean? So they'll definitely take confidence as well. And I think, like, if you were looking at it, although I did predict Newcastle West earlier in the year, I think if I'm being honest, I'd be very surprised if they did come through Munster at this stage. If they were to come through, I think the side of the draw that they're on as well, I think they would have to beat Dingle and then possibly the Cork champions. So yeah, I think it probably was a prediction that won't happen. But if it does happen, what can I say? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm straight back to the TikTok comments if that comes true.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I would say that they're like an outside shot, but I still think it's going to come from either Dingle or St. Finbarrs. I think that's Era O'Guinness, I think, have been are definitely to be taken serious. But I think Jared there even saying that Éire Óg is for the Munster hurling. I think they're spinning a lot of plates, and we've seen it with Loughmore Castellani as well, that like once you win both, it's very taxing to go for a run in the Munster Championship in both codes. It's very, very difficult. And I think there's a reason why we haven't seen really anybody win provincial titles at club level in both. Like that would be just an absolutely insane achievement if somebody were to do it. But we're going to move then. I'm going to give a county final each to you two lads. Matthew, I'll start with you first. The Waterford Senior Football Championship final. That saw Rathcormac beat the Nair by 112 to 110. Rathcormac now quietly have put 3 in a row in the Daisha.
Yeah, and Rathcormac really pushed Dr. Crokes all the way in the Munster semi-final last year. Yes, a low-scoring game, 9 points to 8 that day, but you have to take Rathcormac seriously. In fairness, they do have some absolutely excellent players in their team, like the likes of the Curry brothers. They seem like a very good team in Waterford, and they seem like a team that will take a lot of confidence after this win over Denair. Jason Curry got 110 in this game. You look at Michael Curry got a point for midfield in this game as well. Conor Murray, who I really rate as Waterford senior, he got a point at corner forward. Billy Power got a point as well in this game. James Power got 2 points. Glenn Power had a brilliant performance at wing back. He got 3 points in this game, and obviously a brilliant cornerback performance from Willie Hallisey as well. Got a point in this game, and it was a good display from Rathcormac nearly all the way through. But it was very tight. Like the Nair did level it right at the end through Dermot Ryan to make it 110 apiece on 59 minutes. But then Billy Power and Willie Hallisey got the last 2 points to see it for Rathcormac in this game in stoppage time. So a very good win for Rathcormac in the end of this game. They were 1-5 to 1-4 up in this game. Yes, it was tight all the way through. Denair, you can't expect anything else from them. They are a very good side in Waterford football circles. But I think the goal from Jason Curry right on the stroke of half time put Rathcormac in a commanding position. That put them 1-5 to 1-4 up. And yeah, they didn't look back after that. It was a good display from Rathcormac to get over the line. Special mention, obviously, that Dermot Ryan got 2 points for Denair. Aaron Ryan got 4 points. Dylan Gowrie got a goal and a point as well from full forward. So, look, Denair, they are unlucky to lose this game. But Rathcormac, you talked about Éire Óg there and Clare, and maybe Joe might weigh into this. I do think Rathcormac have a serious chance. Like, they pushed Dr. Crokes all the way last year. Éire Óg have improved their work in Munster over the last few years. Yes, they're spinning a lot of plates, and fair play to them in the dual commitments. But they've been probably talked up in the Munster football over the last few years. They do have a fantastic group of players, like the likes of Iki Muguero and Gavin Cooney and all these players. Obviously, David Reedy, when he was playing football, I'm not sure is he playing football this year. Aaron Fitzgerald, of course. But they don't seem to put it together in the Munster Football Championship. That'll be the challenge for them this year. And I think Rathcormac could really put it up to them in that Munster quarterfinal.
Yeah, and Jer, if you are still with us, we would love to get your opinion on a potential matchup between Rathcormac and Éire Óg, or whoever Éire Óg will go up against in the Munster Championship should they come through that game. Liam, your county final, your next one was the one that took place today down in Wexford between Castletown Lean Mellows, who came out on top, beating Shelmaliers by 14 points to a goal and 7. They now move on and they face Ballyboden in the Leinster quarterfinals.
Yeah, it's hilarious. We have Wexford taking on Dublin in the provincial championship in hurling and football, so that'll make it very, very interesting. But yeah, look,
will they do a double header? Will they fuck?
Not a chance. No, look, it's a great win for Castletown to retain the title. You know, it's a great achievement to go back to back. It's the real sign of a top class team, to be honest with you, taking down Shelmaliers, who like they're a great dual club themselves, to be fair, or they have been over the last number of years. So yeah, no, great credit to them. They inside the first 11 minutes they were fairly comfortable. They were leading 4 points to no score. But then I suppose, look, Shelmaliers got it back to 4 points each early on in the first half, a couple of minutes after that. But then Castletown led by 3 points at half time. And then, yeah, look, I think they kind of stretched out their lead in the second half. There wasn't really a stage kind of where it felt like Shelmaliers were going to catch them, really, kind of halfway through the second half. You had Jonathan Beeland kicking points, Rory Heffernan stretching their lead, and they were they led by double scores with 45 minutes gone in the game. And yeah, look, they weren't able to close the gap despite the goal from Graham Staples in injury time, which was just really just a consolation, to be honest with you. So look, it's a great win for Castletown. Look, do I think they'll beat Ballyboden? Look, it's the club championship. There's always a chance, but I just feel like maybe they might not have enough against Ballyboden, even though they will have the home advantage. Like you said, I think it'll be a great to see it being a double header, but obviously that's just not going to happen. With the Martins.
Here's hoping, man. Here's hoping. Like, it makes so much sense. If they were to put that game maybe even in like Auckram, neutral ground between Wexford and Dublin, and put Na Fianna against St. Martin's and Ballyboden against Castletown. I mean, that would be a great occasion. Auckram, the ground always feels packed, like anytime you're in there. That would be an amazing occasion, but it probably just won't happen. And I don't understand, because I'm looking at it going, what could possibly be the reason that can't happen? Like,
maybe just
the championships are finished.
Yeah, I suppose I was about to say maybe with given that, say, the Wexford Championship was only just finished today, whatever. But then, like, they set out these fixtures. Like I'll be honest with you now. I've known we've had to play the Kilkenny champions or the Offaly champions have had to play the Kilkenny champions since about February, March. Like, they set these fixtures out early on in the year. So you are actually thinking, you know what? If you're setting them out that early on in the year, there maybe is potentially room to maybe make it a double header. But look, I suppose, maybe it's a story for another day. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely something that they could potentially look at in the future, maybe.
I hope they can. I really, really hope they can, because things can be moved around last minute. We've seen it happen multiple times. Things can be moved when pitches get called off and everything like that. So let's hope that we can make a double header here, because that would be a really cool occasion for both counties. And it would give the opportunity then for, Dublin fans and Wexford fans to go and see the two champions go up against their opponents in the provincial championship. But sticking with action that took place on Sunday, when we were looking for potential giant killings, we eyed up this game, Kilmacud Crokes against Dunshaughlin in the Leinster Senior LGFA Semi Final, because Kilmacud Crokes have been perennial All-Ireland contenders in the All-Ireland LGFA Club Championship. We looked at Dunshaughlin with some of the talent that they have, the likes of Niamh Gallagly, players like that, Maeve Byrne as well. And we thought maybe Dunshaughlin could be the ones to dethrone them in Leinster. Not even close. Kilmacud Crokes 2-9, Dunshaughlin 5 points. And then on the other side, Tinahely of Wicklow beat Milltown of Westmeath 3-9 to 10 points. Tinahely will face Kilmacud in the final. Liam, I'll come to you for this one.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I thought maybe Dunshaughlin could have had a great opportunity here to maybe have a go at Kilmacud Crokes. I still would have predicted Kilmacud Crokes to win the game, but yeah, just 2-9 to 5 points is a really tough beating for them to take, to be honest with you. And I think it just shows the dominance of Kilmacud Crokes as well. Look, maybe if Sylvester's had won the Dublin Championship, maybe it could have been a lot closer of a game. That's probably the one thing you could say about, the teams that maybe do take down the Giants in a respective county, that they might win the next round. Like you mentioned there, you're giving the respect to Ty winning the Kildare Championship, that if Naas had won, you'd have been backing them every day of the week to beat Balton Glass. But on the other hand, you're thinking, right, well, maybe you're thinking they might not win the next match by as much, maybe. But yeah, look, for Kilmacud Crokes, it's just business as usual. A 10-point victory in the semi-final is really, really impressive going. And yeah, unfortunately, from a Milltown perspective for Westmeath, beaten by Tinahely, but that's a great win for Tinahely to get to the Leinster final. 3-9 to 10 points is a very, very impressive victory. Look, do I think they'll be able to take down Kilmacud Crokes? Unfortunately for them, I don't think they will. I just think Kilmacud Crokes have too much firepower, and I think they're still the strongest side in the Leinster Championship, and probably maybe even arguably could be in Ireland as well, given the success they've had over the last number of years. But yeah, look, it should make for a very interesting final. Dunshaughlin will be very, very disappointed after this. They had a great win the last day over Ballygunner Dora, and they put up a big scoreline as well, and I thought maybe they could have taken that into this game, but obviously things just didn't work out in the end.
Yeah, just the Kilmacud Crokes are just too strong. I mean, I've witnessed it firsthand how clever they are now as well, like how they manage out games and stuff like that. It's very similar to how Dublin used to do it in the 5 in a row, that like when Sills had a bit of momentum in that Dublin final, they would just hold possession. Alva Davern, Aoife Kane, people like that are so good at managing out the game. They're very, very, very difficult to beat. Another shock, Matthew, I'll come to you for this one. I mean, we basically all picked Clonairon to win Ulster. They were quietly in a bit of a dominant spell up in Ulster as well, but that run was put to an end by St. Ergnitz of Antrim, who beat them 2-5 to 8 points. And then in the other side of the draw, Errigal Kieran got over the line against Lurgan by 12 points to 11. So the Ulster Senior LGFA final will be St. Ergnitz of Antrim against Errigal Kieran of Tyrone. The reigning champions, Clonairon, are no more.
Yeah, it was a big result in this game. Like Clonairon have won the last few Ulster LGFA championships with St. Orkneys. From a county like Antrim, with the greatest respect, like Antrim are junior LGFA county, and for a club in that county to go ahead and beat a Clonairon, which is like a juggernaut in the Ulster LGFA championship, they deserve a lot of credit for that. The Card Ulster LGFA here, the foundation of the victory for the Antrim champions was Leah Stewart and Brona Devlin held to 2-3 to 7 points half-time lead. The game remained tight in the second half with just 3 points scored. However, the money glass outfit, that's St. Orkneys, of course, held on for 2-5 to 8 points win. It was a brilliant display overall from St. Orkneys, and it may boost Antrim LGFA down through the years. Like, you look at Brona Devlin, like, she obviously scored a penalty in the junior LGFA final against Louth as well, so she's a kind of a leadership quality player. She was the captain of the Antrim team this year as well. So I do think, like, they do have leaders in the team, they do have quality, and they do have momentum now. Like, momentum can bring you such a long way. So I think St. Orkneys have a huge opportunity in the Ulster final where they'll play Errigal Kieran. Yes, Errigal will be new to this, but when you look at how the men did last year and get into the All-Ireland final, I think the LGFA team can think, why not? Why can't we win Ulster? Like, the momentum is there with that club as well, and there's a one club fits all kind of model there as well with Errigal Kieran. Obviously, we'd love to see that across the whole country, but that's the same with Errigal Kieran. Card to Ulster LGFA here as well. They beat they were 8 points to 4 up against Lurgan at the break, and then late in the half, Aoife Harris scored her 5th point to level matters, and then in the dying minutes, Maria Canavan sent over the winner. So Aoife Harris and Maria Canavan, they were the two players that really stood up for Errigal Kieran in that game as well. Two Tyrone players who have done well over the last years. Yes, Maria Canavan didn't play for Tyrone in the intermediate final, but she still is a very, very talented footballer. Aoife Harris, as we've seen throughout the intermediate grade as well, is a very talented player for Tyrone as well, one of Tyrone's main players. And Tyrone LGFA going up to the senior grade, competing well in Division 1 of the Little League as well. I do feel like this is a good time for Tyrone ladies football as well. So I have a feeling Errigal will win the game in the final. But as we've seen this weekend, we can't discount St. Orkneys after a brilliant display in beating one of the favourites to win, if not just the Ulster Championship, but potentially the All-Ireland in Clonairon.
Yeah, that's a huge shock in my opinion, because I was thinking Clonairon will win Ulster again and have another crack potentially at the All-Ireland, yet they are no more. Aaron, in a province then where there was no shocks really, especially in the Kilkerran game, Kilkerran-Clonberne of Galway, that juggernaut just keeps on rolling. They beat Westport of Mayo by a goal and 17 to 2 goals and 7 points, while Saturday's Connacht LGFA Semi Final saw St. Brigids of Roscommon beat Glencar Manor Hamilton of Leitrim by 3-7 to a goal and 12. So beat them by the minimum. Very, very good day for Brigids there, just across the board in general. Roscommon title and a place in the Connacht LGFA final. But they're going up against Kilkerran-Clonberne. And again, the age-old question now, it feels nobody seems to be able to stop this team.
No, certainly not by the looks of it anyway. Do you know that way? Like, it was a close enough game against Westport, 117 to 2-7. Like, they were kind of put up there. There was like kind of like some stern tests and some kind of close moments kind of put up in the game. Do you know that way? But yeah, like they came through it in the end, and it will be very, very hard to see anyone stopping them from looking at it. Like, Brigids, like, obviously wouldn't have a huge amount of knowledge in terms of how they play ladies football wise, but no, I think Kilkerran-Clonberne from looking at it do look far, far too strong at the moment.
Yeah, no, Kilkerran are going to take some stopping. Matthew, I'm going to come to you for the next provincial final. Unbelievably, we saw history being made this weekend. Comer Rangers win their first ever Munster Senior LGFA title. They beat Southern Gales by a point. What an incredible victory, Matthew.
Yeah, it's a brilliant victory for Comer, and may I say well done to Mr. Prendergast for predicting Comer Rangers to win the Munster Championship. It was a brilliant win for them, in fairness, over a decent Southern Gales side who not just only had Schaefer O'Shea in their team, but they also had Anna Galvin, Marianne Bulger, and Rachel Dwyer as their captain. So that's like a bulk of the Kerry team who were competitive for All-Irelands in the last few years. So they deserve a lot of credit for that in getting over the line. And Comer built up a very good half-time lead in this game. Southern Gales struggled to get into it in the first half, but then they made a comeback in the second half. There might have been a win there in the game, in this game, in the final, but But then again, like Cormorant, they deserve a lot of credit for kind of withholding that storm in many ways, and getting over a very good Southern Gate side in many ways in the final there as well. I heard that the Murrays really did well for Cormorant Rangers in this game. The likes of obviously Sarah Connolly and Clodagh Power got late points in this game to help Cormorant get over the line. Emma Murray had a brilliant game as well. Katie Murray, obviously her sister, had a very good game in this game. Another, like Southern Gaels, had a few good performers too. The likes of Jess Gill, who's another Kerry senior as well. Anna Galvin dominated the midfield in this game as well. So look, it was a brilliant display from Cormorant Rangers. Shauna Dunphy and Evelyn Power also had good displays. And look, they'll be a difficult bet for anybody in the All-Ireland series. They won the Munster Championship. They beat the likes of Éire Óg and they beat the likes of Southern Gaels from Cork and Kerry respectively. So they deserve a lot of credit for getting over the line. So well done to them for doing that. And there will be a party in Cormorant Rangers. And just a word as well for the other champions of the Munster grade in the senior B grade. Cork's Glanmire got over the line. A brilliant display for them. Congratulations to them. In the intermediate grade, Neva Vaughan got over the line from Cork as well. So congratulations to them. And then Cremon from Kerry got over the line in the junior final as well. So 2 wins for Kerry, 2 wins for Cork. It's probably the way it should be, to be honest with you, with Munster LGFA, but there you go. But look, congratulations to Cormorant Rangers for getting over the line.
Oh, they were absolutely brilliant. And like, to be honest, to double down first of all and to firmly take the crown off Ballymacarbry and Waterford, who had achieved over 40 titles in a row, and to take it off them last year and then to beat them the way that they did this year in the Waterford final really stamped their authority on the championship, that now the Waterford LGFA Championship is in a bit of a new era. And to go from there and to win your first ever Munster title after falling short in the final last year. They're in now with the Sharks. There's no question. The Kilmacud Crokes, who I think are going to come out of Leinster. Kilkerran Clonburness, who I think is going to come out of Connacht. It'll be fascinating to see who now is going to come out of Ulster, now that Clonairon especially have been knocked out. But it's going to be really interesting to see how they get on from here. And can anybody take the crown off Kilkerran? And if it's not going to be Kilmacud, then can one of the teams that are in this stage for the first time really in recent history do it? It's going to be very interesting to see. We are now going to switch over to Camogie. If we want to talk about crazy results, lads, we have one right here for us. We predicted that St. Vincent's would be right there or thereabouts. I predicted Dixborough to win Leinster and to win the All-Ireland. St. Vincent's was another, heavily fancied pick by a lot of people, including some of ourselves, to win the Leinster Championship. They are now out, unbelievably. They lost to, apologies, let me get it up. They lost to Owlet de Bala of Wexford. So Owlet de Bala 2-17, St. Vincent's 3 goals and 5 points. St. Vincent's, who have won 2 out of the last 3 Leinster championships, are now out of the championship. And in the other side of the draw, Dixborough of Kilkenny, they beat Beer of Offaly by 3-17 to 4 points. Unbelievable to see St. Vincent's knocked out and to see the scoreline there where it doesn't even look like it was particularly close. That's a huge statement for Owlet de Bala, because that St. Vincent's team is a really, really good team. The likes of Ashland Marr, Emma O'Byrne, it's a very solid Vincent side. For Owlet to beat them like that, what a final we now have on our hands between Owlet and Dixborough. Liam, we'll come to you first for this.
Yeah, and I was covering the Dixborough Burr game today in Burr, and yeah, look, it'd be fair to say that it kind of felt more like a training session for Dixborough, to be honest with you. And it's no disrespect to Burr. Look, they are a good team themselves. They have some good players in their team. Look, the likes of Roisin Kinsella really, really tried her best today at centre back, and she's a tough bit of stuff, but it just wasn't to be for her, unfortunately. Sarah Harding, who got a hat trick in the Offaly final. Ironically, she only touched the ball twice in the game because they had a sweeper playing Dixborough and the ball just never got to her. But ironically, she won 2 frees. So maybe if they got the ball to her more, she could have caused a bit of damage in there. But no, look, regardless, it was very, very easy for Dixborough, to be honest with you, all across the 60 minutes, to be honest with you. But they were really, really impressive. Some of the hurling that they played. They've Aoife Prendergast in midfield, who was very, very good on the frees. Orla Henrik got 1-4. Rachel Dowling got 1-3. She was really, really impressive in the first half. She took her goal really, really well. Amy Clifford as well had a solid game. I thought their centre back as well. It was Caoimhe Dowling. Sorry, Ciara Phelan was wing back. Was absolutely fantastic as well. So look, great win for them. I think Burr only scored 1 point from play, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just get it up here. Oh no, they got two from play, but yeah, 2 from play over the course of 60 minutes. So really, really impressive from Dixborough. And from an Urlach Bala perspective, yeah, look, that's an unbelievable victory to take down St. Vincent's. And like you said there, the scoreline there, when you read it out loud, it really makes it look like that it wasn't close at all. So yeah, it should be a very interesting final to look forward to. I still would fancy Dixborough to win it. I just thought some of the hurling that they were playing today was absolutely fantastic, and their movement and their reading of the game is really, really impressive. Obviously, look, I didn't see the Urlach game, so I can't judge on how well they did play against Vincent's to that degree. But for me, I think off the top of my head, I think I backed Dixborough to win the Leinster Championship, or even if I didn't, I'd certainly be backing them now to win it. I think they were very, very impressive today.
There's no question about it. Like, Owlert are very, very recently All-Ireland champions. Like, they've flown under the radar now because of the recent success of St. Vincent's, of Dixborough. But Matthew, they're now in the final, and they've announced themselves with this result. Like Dublin is great here asking me to repeat the scoreline. It was 2 goals and 17 points to 3 goals and 5 points. That's no fluke. They were the better team. They got the job done. They've announced themselves with this one.
Yeah, it was a big result. And I suppose in some ways it may not be a shock considering like the roll of honour. Like Dixborough have only got to 1 All-Ireland final in their history, obviously back in 2023. St. Vincent's have got to 1 All-Ireland final in their history in 1998. Owlert have got to 4 finals in their history in 2012, 2015, 2021 and 2022, winning 3 of those. So they do have a lot of history in it. Yes, the likes of Ursula Jacob, probably the most known player in that club, is not there anymore, and a lot of people might be dismissing them because of that, but they do have some decent players, Owlert, including the joint captains of the team, and Miro Dowd is a very good fullback in this team, and the likes of Shelly Keogh, who I'm sure had a very good game today. Una Lacey's another experienced player. She's still hanging about at full forward. You have the likes of Anish Corner on the middle of the park, who's an absolutely excellent player for Wexford, probably one of Wexford's shining lights at the camogie scene, and she is definitely one for Owlert in this season. Molly Martin is another good player. Ciara Keenan, obviously Shelly Keogh, Stacey Keogh. Like, they do have some good players throughout the team. Sarah Walsh, Aideen Brennan. Like, they do have some excellent players, and most of them would be Wexford inter-county standard, and they definitely deserve their win over St. Vincent's today. Maybe St. Vincent's, maybe in a way, I don't think Aaron and Séamus probably won't want to accept this, but maybe Dublin Camogie is a bit overrated. Like, you look at, yes, okay, they finished in the semi-finals last year, but in the group stage of the championship, they got knocked out. They only beat Derry this year. And yes, they do have some decent players like the likes of Emma Byrne and Ashley Mara. They have some decent players, there's no doubt about it. But regularly, they don't get to the latter stages of All-Irelands often enough. And that's my feeling with Dublin Camogie. Like, Wexford's got to a Camogie Leinster final this year. Yes, they were on the side of Offaly, and yes, it might be considered an easier game than a Kilmacud, for example. But like, Wexford still have that baggage in there, no doubt about it. They still have All-Irelands to fall back on, whereas Dublin Camogie in recent seasons, they don't have it as of yet. And St. Vincent's, as I mentioned there, one of the most successful Dublin Camogie clubs, have reached 1 All-Ireland final in their history back in the 90s. So I feel like Kilkenny, Wexford, the Munster counties, Galway, they might be further the development line at this stage than Dublin are.
Now that's what you call a late stoppage in the UFC. No. In all seriousness, you do make your points well. The one counteract that I would have to it is the fact that Vincent's have won 2 of the last 3 in Leinster. They have beaten the Kilkenny champions. They have beaten the Wexford champions. And you are right, at county level, we don't match up to what Kilkenny have done, what Cork have done, what Galway have done in the last few years. But in terms of history, we do have a strong history. Just over the last few years, we have dropped off the boil. But like, if we're talking Camogie heritage, Dublin is really strong. You know, if you go back to the Kathleen Mills days and everything like that. But in terms of like the modern era, the win over Kilkenny last year, that was the first win in a long time that made me be like, holy shit, like I wasn't expecting us to win that game. We tend to go a certain way, but I think we are getting better. It's just a pity, obviously, the recent managerial change and everything like that. We need a bit of stability and we need to build more going forward. But I think this result was a bit of a surprise. Not that Owlert won, but the fact that it was comfortable. I think that's what surprises me. I didn't think that it would go like that. Vincent's looked really good in that final where they beat Luke and Sarsfields. That's 4 in a row in Dublin for them, but I think maybe just were they not tested enough in Dublin? Like, there's a lot of questions that you can ask, but who knows? Interestingly, if you go up to Ulster, then there is no shocks. In Lockgill Shamrocks of Antrim, 7-11. Slot Neil of Derry, 5 points. Aaron, I mean, there's some games that you don't need a match report to know what happened here.
Yeah, I mean, like you're talking about late stoppages and early everything else. This feels like an early stoppage. You know what I mean? This feels like, you know, like if this is a fight or something. The goal that's been thrown in, you know, a little bit early and everything else. Look, it's sometimes we have seen some results like this. Remember, we were looking at a couple of fixtures earlier, a couple of weeks ago, in terms of the Camogie Championship and ladies football, and there's some dominant kind of results. So, yeah, it probably is a little bit disappointing to see some results being so heavily one-sided in favour of others. But, very, very dominant result there, like 7-11 to 5 points. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Well, you've not,
but Lockgill have had Ulster Camogie on lockdown for the last couple of years now. Like players like Roisin McCormick and everything like that, they've really, really just completely had it on lockdown. It'd be very interesting to see who, if anybody, can take them on over the next few seasons. But in terms of the senior action, that is us finished and wrapped up. Before we go, and I just want to give a big shout that Matthew again has compiled the list of the entire weekend's action, including the intermediate and junior grades. It's all up on the Cúilín Media Instagram page. So go give that a follow and go give Gaelic Statsman, of course, a follow if you don't already, for putting all them results together. Fair play, Matthew, again. But is there any game in particular, Matthew, out of the intermediate or junior that you would like to highlight before we wrap the show up?
Suppose in the Munster, first of all, the Munster Junior Hurling Championship quarterfinals, the Knockadderry of Limerick beat Kenmare Shamrocks of Kerry 2-16 to 2-14. Just because not the results, but this game was taking place in Temple No, the home of Pat Spillane and the home of all the great footballers. So it was kind of unusual to see a Munster hurling game being taken place there. But Kenmare, you could say at home advantage. Kenmare is very near to Temple No, but it wasn't enough. Knockadderry got over the line. So Knockadderry will play Kilbritain from West Cork. I have to put that in the Munster Semi Finals. So best of luck to Kilbritain in that. In the other quarterfinal, Kilrossity for Waterford beat Banner for Clare 2-14 to 19 points. And Banner had the likes of Shane Meehan, who has done brilliant over the last few years for his club. He according to many reports, did so well in this game as well. Obviously, there was other results there as well. In the Munster Junior LGFA, Junior LGFA Semi Final, I have to mention this. Muckalee from Kilkenny beat Raheny from Dublin 2-11 to 4-4. Just from the context, this is so good for Kilkenny LGFA because they were Division 4, they were getting beatings left, right, and centre. They're trying to develop as a county. But Muckalee in the club championship have been one of the stories of it so far. They've been absolutely outstanding with a few Kilkenny players here and there. But yes, you might argue, yes, it's only a junior team. It's only a third tier or fourth tier or whatever in Dublin. Dublin are still All-Ireland senior champions in LGFA. And for Kilkenny to face a Dublin team like Raheny, a decent club side as well, for Muckalee to go and beat them, it's a fantastic achievement. And they're into a junior LGFA final now in Leinster. They deserve a lot of credit for putting Kilkenny LGFA on the map, in fairness to them. So hopefully Kilkenny LGFA can build on this, and it is a good result overall for them. In the Connacht's Intermediate Hurling Championship quarterfinal, we talked at the start of the podcast about Thomas's and Loughrea and how Connacht teams need to develop. In the Connacht quarterfinal, Turin from Mayo beat 4-0 from Roscommon from 117 to 112. This is a Turin team that reached the final against Monaghan from Limerick a few years ago, and they competed very, very well against them. They've the likes of Fergal Boland in this team, who is a renowned hurler. Yes, he scored a point for Mayo against Donegal in the All-Ireland group stage, and he might be renowned for that and being a good Mayo footballer. He's a damn good hurler, though. And I do think the likes of Turin, the likes of Askey from Sligo is another example as well. I think those sort of clubs need to get up to the level of the Galway clubs, especially when you see Satanta from Donegal compete in the Ulster Senior Hurling Championship as well. So I think that'll be the next step for Turin if they manage to go on a run in the intermediate, similar to what they did back in the day as well. As you mentioned as well about, or Dur in the comments, should I say, mentioned about O'Callaghan Mills from Clare. They beat Abbey Downey from Kerry in the Munster Intermediate Hurling Championship quarterfinal 119 to 117. Obviously a difficult defeat to take for Abbey Downey and a difficult defeat for Kerry Hurling to take, considering Kenmare Shamrocks lost as well. But look, to come as close as they did against a Clare side like O'Callaghan Mills. They deserve a lot of credit for that, in fairness, as well. And one result I have to mention as well in terms of the Ulster Junior Football Championship quarter-final, Munter Connacht from Cavan beat Clonmore Robert Emmett from Armagh. It was 180-215 after extra time, but Munter Connacht won 3-0 on penalties. The penalties course from Armagh continues, unfortunately for him. So I had to put that there as well. So yeah, a lot of action this weekend. Congratulations, as I mentioned before, to the likes of David Vaughan and Glanmire from Cork, who won Munster LGFA crowns this weekend too.
Yeah, no, very, very good games there, and it's crazy when you repeat the penalty curse and everything like that. Yeah, that is another show wrapped up, lads. Fair play to Aaron's computer for saving the day there at the end as well. We are going to wrap up the show right there. And yeah, thank you to anybody who tuned in during the show. Thank you to anybody who dropped a comment. We will be back here live on Thursday at 8 p.m. for another weekend preview show. But until then, enjoy the week, and we'll see you all then. Instinct, baby.